In recent decades, the fight for female equality has grown steadily from demands for the right to vote in the 1910s to demands of equal pay and abortion rights today. However, even in the 21st century, women's equality has still not been achieved, as addressed by prominent figures such as Hillary Clinton in her concession speech.
And to all the women, and especially the young women, who put their faith in this campaign and in me, I want you to know that nothing has made me prouder than to be your champion. I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
While the struggles of white women are still being fought for on the national stage, what about for women of color? Women of different races not only have to fight the patriarchy, but also systematic racism, most obviously in the workplace. Women of color often have to be
You have to be what?
Twice.
What?
Twice as good.
Twice as good as them to get half of what they have.
And due to these struggles, the glass ceiling for white women is the counterpart to the concrete ceiling for women of color. While a white man will earn a full dollar for the work he does, a white woman will earn only 78 cents for equal work. However, a black woman will earn only 64 cents. A Native American woman will earn only 59 cents. And a Hispanic woman earns a mere 54 cents. An Asian woman earns 90 cents, which is more than a white woman, but still not equal to a white man's dollar. Marilyn Hinton occupies place 6 on the Plano ISD School Board of Trustees and has faced workplace discrimination as an African American woman.
Some of the priorities and some of my things that I like to work with particularly are the curriculum. And so I try to stay out of the way of the staff, but I do occasionally voice, interest in it. We're working a lot with the state legislator and trying to make a movement on certain bills that affect the schools. And I think one of the things that changed immediately when I got on the school board was that some African American staff, particularly in the foods and a little bit in transportation, said that there had been a pronounced difference in the way that they were treated just because I had gotten on the board. So they felt like they had some voice, finally.
Okay.
In saying things that might be discriminatory or whatever.
This graph depicts the divide between white women and women of color on how much they believe employees are getting rewarded equally for the work they do. White women are shown with high percentages, thinking they are justly rewarded for the work they do. However, for women of color, it is shown that they believe many of them are not getting the opportunities they deserve.
Cynthia Knowlton is a Latino woman who has been promoted over her white co-workers, and she is a manager in Walmart right now.
I was always be able to work in different environments, and then always they always thought that was very exciting to have a Latino, a Peruvian, and that I'm from Peru. So I always have great people. I work in restaurants before, and they always have no problem. And I have African Americans and I have Americans, and I was the only one Latino there, and then they were always very excited to have me there, and it helped me out. At Walmart, there was one time that it was one of the coworkers that was making jokes. But I didn't understand much English. I was just knew the basic to work on a restaurant, But later on, one of my other coworkers came to me and asked me, and I said, "Do you really didn't understand what that means?" And I said, "It's not what he was saying." And then he says no. So he explained it to me, and then now I knew. So I went to report that to make sure that he understands that they can't be making jokes with somebody who don't speak the same language, because it's not funny. And that stopped right away.
Harriet Chang is interviewed because she is a Chinese woman who serves as a technology specialist at PISD, serving at a high position over her white colleagues, which she achieved by fighting racism and sexism in order to earn the success and respect she deserved. How does it feel to be promoted over your white coworkers?
I think that everybody will be extremely happy when they got promoted, because promotion is a recognition of your capability of being able to handle your job and the potential of taking more responsibilities, not really because of the colors. Color should not be a consideration in there. It's just the promotion itself. That is a recognition of your ability.
Have you ever been called a derogatory term in the workplace based on your skin color or gender?
It's a common phenomenon sometimes in the society that there exists all kinds of prejudice. As a colored female, of course you will encounter the attitude, which sometimes is very obvious and hurtful. But as a mature individual, you should still respect others, and it takes time to prove who you are and what you can do. Just let the time proves it, and be who you are and do what you need to do.
The workplace is much like climbing a ladder for women. While white men are already at the top, women are still struggling to find their way up. A white woman, however, has a significant advantage over women of color due to their white privilege, making it easier for them to climb up the ladder and both get paid more and hold higher positions of power. Meanwhile, for women of color, no matter how hard they work, it's extremely difficult for them to make it to the top without struggling and enduring lots of obstacles on the way, thus leading to their demographic being severely underrepresented in well-paying, respected jobs.
There was an administrator who felt that she had been denied positions because she was African American. Well, I think what happens is that women of color are riding up against a lot of constraints now, because it used to be, the hierarchy used to be only whites that were being promoted a lot. But when you start to throw in other racial issues and things like discriminatory practices that people might be sued for, that's going to make everybody
What do you think other
uncomfortable.
people can do to combat workplace discrimination against women of color?
I guess in the workplace, you cannot change people. Okay, they come in with all kinds of background, all kinds of prejudice towards different things. So what you can do is, if you have to work in an environment like that, you have to advance yourself all the time. So first of all is improve yourself. And second of all, speak up. If you think you're being prejudiced against, you need to speak up to let them know what they do is wrong. Okay? And this kind of actions towards people that prejudice against you, and I think it's very important because you are educating them at the same time. And there's many generations that we face those kind of problems, and it has been improved with educations and with higher, more advanced culture mixed of it, and people gradually realize prejudice is the wrong thing. So they need to be reminded so they can correct their actions. So if you are working in an environment like that, speak up.
Do you ever hear stories about other women of color about discriminations they face in their workplace?
Only in the news, on TV, but it really is very upsetting because we all the same. We all we're capable to do a good job. So I don't understand why. So that's sometimes when I don't even watch news, because I don't like to see negativity about that.
Dr. Mamta Akapati is a woman of color who works at the University of Houston's Women's Studies program and published an article by the name of When White Women Cry. In her writing, she stresses how a white woman's tears can only further oppress women of color. Through a case study that was conducted, she uses two women to depict how white women, while still being oppressed, can be oppressors too. Two women focused on are a white woman named Susan and a woman of color named Anita. Here's the situation. The two women were placed in a work area to discuss issues affecting the office. Anita brings up the lack of racial representation, to which Susan immediately begins to act defensive and claims to feel attacked. She ultimately starts crying, which displays the overall ways white women react when race is brought up. This study breaks down the 4 ways white women try to justify their racism, refusing to acknowledge they are guilty of racism. But experiencing oppression does not save you from exhibiting prejudiced behavior. The way white women react to racism is denial. Susan believes that by stating something like, "I conduct diversity trainings in this office," she thus excused the office and herself from being racist. The second way was rationalization. If Susan just admitted there were no programs linked with diversity, she would rationalize using logic as to why Anita's point is irrational, silencing Anita's valid criticism. The third way is false envy. Susan will try to play the "I have a person of color friend, therefore I'm not racist" card to act as if knowing someone who faces oppression equates to being oppressed one. The fourth way is benevolence. Susan will state she volunteered in various organizations that helped people of color to prove that she is not a bad person and therefore incapable of being racist. But Anita just wanted some representation in her workplace, not a lecture on why a coworker was allegedly not racist. Therefore, Dr. Akapati illustrates how white women, instead of dodging the race issue and crying about it, should instead help their racially oppressed sisters. Feminism and equality isn't exclusive to white women only.
Have you ever seen other people being discriminated against, and what could you do to help them?
Surely there's a lot of people that I know encounter this kind of problems, and they got a position and that is in charge of a lot of things, but they don't really get a title and they don't really get a pay for it. And usually cases like that, we talk about it, and then we always will come out with some plans, and so the friend that we know can go back and fight for her own right. And I think there's a lot of incidences like that. You cannot just take the case and swallow it. You have to be able to stand up. Okay, standing up is very important for yourself and for the people that are similar in your situation. So as long as the society is moving that way, and we will eventually have the day that people know that prejudice against colored women is just a wrong thing to do.
Research from the Wall Street Journal found that women of color are the most underrepresented group in the senior and upper ranks of companies. But that's not for lack of ambition. Women of color are much more likely than white women to want to be top executives. Women surveyed, 48% of women of color said they aspired to be a top executive, compared with 37% of white women.
I was trying to do the best I can in my work, because every time I do my work, it's my signature on it, and I think it's more the pride that I have to show that I can do a great job. So,
what do you think that white men and white women can do to their part if they make others feel discriminated at their workplace?
I think we all should be praying. God is the same color for everybody. So I believe in God, and then I believe that He is the amazing God up there, that He created all of us. And then when He created all of us, He didn't think about colors, languages, or anything. He was just making a man and a woman. And then we all should be happy. So I just don't understand sometimes discrimination, that they can be in different places. But I think we all should just have one prayer, that we need to pray that we all have to get along, and then we all have to see each other as one person.
How did you learn to deal with people that criticized you on their skin color?
You cannot change a person on what they think or their own prejudice. So the way I deal with it is always using my work ethics, my professionalism, to show what I have and what I can offer. Basically, that's their problem, not my problem. I only need to get my things done and respect my co-workers and do what a right human being should do.
I think what you have to do if you're in the workplace and you have to go out and be friends with those people and you have to meet them so that they know you and they understand that you're a person just like everybody else and not somebody to be tolerated or even hated.
A glass ceiling can be shattered, but for concrete there needs to be a door that people on both sides are willing to open. Despite their struggles in the workplace, women of color have been working hard to achieve success, but they can achieve more if society allows them to, and realizes they are capable of more.